What's going on? It's your boys, DMac and Coach Mike Sanford for Altitude After Dark bye week version. Coach, how you doing, my friend? How do you like a bye week for the NFL?
Well, it's never a bye week for me just because I love football. And you got a little Thursday night action going on as we speak right now. And we got a little Green Bay football Packers versus the Detroit Lions, two of the real contenders in the NFC. And I'm not a Packer fan by trade. I just root for my guy, Jordan Love. So anybody that's wondering, I didn't grow up a Packer fan. I've just kind of rooted on a guy that I coached. So that's that.
I understand the love, and I'll tell Brett Kane, who loves the Lions.
Oh, I've already had some words. With Kane.
It's hard to take him serious on that. And I get it. You're a Lions fan, but you grew up in Nebraska. So, I mean, you're like,
who do you root for though, man? Gosh.
Well, apparently you root for the Lions, but I mean, I just take his rootism less seriously. But that's just me. All right. Excited to get into the show, and we got some people talking smack about Bo Nix. We'll get into that in just a little bit and where life stands. But first, your 401k is likely one of your most important financial plans, but it's only part of a comprehensive financial strategy. Edward Jones can help you understand how your retirement assets fit into your entire retirement picture so you can work toward meeting your unique retirement goals. Contact Beau Smith, your Colorado Edward Jones financial advisor, at 303-758-8500 or visit edwardjones.com/Beau-Smith. That's BEAU-Smith. Edward Jones, member SIPC. I mean, who doesn't
Beau
like
Smith? Beau Smith, good looking guy, man. Good looking dude.
No doubt about it. It's always fun finding current athletes talking shit about other current athletes. Doesn't happen that often, frankly. Usually most current athletes stay away from it. But may I present to you Shelby Harris on the show Meet the Harrises, talking about Bo Nix. Shelby Harris just played in the game. Shelby Harris, Denver.
Highly productive game. Very efficient game for Shelby Harris.
Let's get right to it.
I mean, I would say other than that big throw, Bo Nix isn't the most efficient quarterback out there. I think that he needs, to make the little throws, and it's a lot of flair. Obviously that big throw is going to get a lot of airtime. We're going to talk. It was obviously a big throw, but also that was a throw that should have been an interception. At the end of the day, so.
And he just kind of went on and on and on. It was sort of in that tone. You want to address those comments?
Yeah, I mean, man, I heard Scotty Hastings on PhD today, and he was dead on. Did you not watch the first 8-10 games of the season when all people said that Bo Nix did was take all of the little throws, and his air yards per attempt were like 6.3 yards at the very highest? I disagree with Shelby Harris. I understand where Shelby Harris is coming from. I've been there, where I go back to the scene of the crime of a place that I either coached at or I've played at. And there's bitterness, man. And even if you leave well, I still have bitterness, man. I want those games extra as a competitor, and I could see where Shelby Harris is coming from. But man, to say that Bo Nix was inefficient. His completion percentage wasn't great, but man, there was a lot of stretching of the field, and ultimately he played a game that was worthy of beating a team that had a hot hand with the quarterback in the other sideline. And it's exactly what you and I talked about a week ago. I was nervous as hell about this game because I knew this could turn into a shootout, a Wild Wild West type of an affair, and it sure as heck did. But Bo Nix, he made fewer fatal errors in a Wild Wild West type of a game than his counterpart Jameis Winston did. And that's what Shelby Harris should be saying. But you, of course, wouldn't say that because you don't throw your own quarterback, any type of shade in his direction.
No. I mean, of course, it's classic, the Jameis Winston, Lord, deliver me from these pick sixes. The funniest part of that quote is, I know I'm better than that. No, you're not. No.
That's who you are.
That's exactly who you are.
That's who you were 8 years ago when you threw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in the same calendar year. That's who you are, man. I mean, if you're not going to grow at 33, when is it going to happen? Are you going to grow when you're 47?
Lord,
I don't know.
deliver me from not being able to dunk. It's not like I become more unable to dunk. You don't like at a certain point, like somehow you dramatically improve and you're not who you are. So what we're seeing though with Bo Nix, Shelby, and listen, man, I get it. Nobody wants to be thrown out with the garbage. And, and he has deep ties to Colorado. So that's fine. I mean, I get it. If I was doing a podcast that was about talking about the people that fired me, and there'd be a few stations to choose from. It wouldn't just be one.
Well, and I've heard some similar sentiments from DMac about some of his previous.
Well,
right. I've listened to your. What do you guys call it? Cup of Joe. What's your deal with Rachel Vigil?
Well, it's cocktail hour. We used to be on a show called Coffee Break.
That's what I was thinking. Coffee break.
After 2 years.
I've heard some Shelby Harris talking about Bo Nix sentiments from DMac about the former station. Let's just throw it out there.
Yeah, but in that case, the former station is a total disaster, unlike the Broncos, who are a playoff team.
I don't know the history, nor I don't understand this industry well enough to speak on it. I just go off vibes, and I would agree with your take.
Oh, there you go. Bo Nix is going to be. Actually, let me back up. He is not going to be Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. But the reason why, and I do not mean to down talk Jaden Daniels, because I love Jaden Daniels. I'm a big Jaden Daniels fan. Have been.
Great talent.
And I've watched so many Jaden Daniels games. It's funny because my love for Jaden Daniels comes from my son going to Arizona State, and I mean that was like our second home for about 5 years, Mike. Seriously, we is that what
they do? Do they do the stunner?
No. That looks a little pornographic. It's forks up, you tuck like that. Forks up.
I mean,
there you go.
So you just don't.
I don't know what that is.
You don't keep the thumb free to tickle the begonia. That's the difference. So it's just
there you go.
Just 2 in the coo, 1 in the poo. Keep going.
Really? Seriously?
I mean, that's what we're talking about. ASU football here.
Okay.
I mean, have you been to Mills Avenue? Is it Mill Street? Whatever it's called.
Mill Ave.
There's a lot of this going on that comes about after some of the antics at some of said establishments.
Listen, pal. I want to tell you something. One of the greatest things of my life was freshman orientation, to see the talent that my son was going to run into over the next 5 years. And they're all 18, right? It's like, yep. Okay. All right.
So you went straight DOM.
Oof, dude.
Dirty old man, baby. DOM.
I looked at my son and I said, pat him on the back. And I was like, have a good time, son.
Did he do
Trust
okay?
me. Trust me.
Did he do okay?
My son did just fine.
Okay.
The freshman orientation at Syracuse.
A little different.
Looked a lot different in 1987.
A little different.
Yeah, I mean, if Bon Jovi had a wait list of pudgy girls from Jersey, you can imagine what was going on for me in 1987. That was kind of
the rejected Band-Aids. It's exactly what you dealt with at Syracuse.
That's what I was dealing with. My son was dealing at freshman orientation with string bikinis. But let's move on.
Sun changes everything, man. The great sun, it just changes things.
Let's move on to what and here's why Bo Nix isn't going to win. So when Jaden Daniels left ASU, my son hated his guts. He felt betrayed, this, that, the other thing. I didn't feel like that at all. I was actually kind of proud. I was like, wow, I felt like that's awesome that he's moving on to LSU. And then seeing Jaden Daniels win the Heisman was amazing. And following Washington this year was incredible. And I just think that being back east, being deserved, I think Bo Nix will get left out of this vote. I do. And I have found that being in the Mountain Time Zone, and I don't know if you realize this or not, Coach, but being in the Mountain Time Zone is a little odd. Like you're just a little bit out of step with everything that's going on with the East Coast and sometimes West Coast media. And it kind of can manifest itself in weird ways. What people first of all don't even understand that there is something called the Mountain Time Zone. And like games start at weird times or they get pushed back, to like 8:20 tip-offs and you know what I'm saying? Like just odd things because we really care about the West Coast more than the East Coast. And I think Bo Nix just has people, Coach, and you might be one of them. You may be one of them who just weren't all that high on him in the first place.
Yeah,
and it's hard to come around. It's hard to come around that you were wrong.
I'm not having a hard time with that second part. I would say that I was never anti. Like I don't like Bo Nix. I really enjoyed interviewing him at the combine. He whooped my ass as a coach when I was at CU, but not as badly as Michael Penix Jr. and Caleb Williams did. Actually, he did it worse than Caleb Williams, to be very honest, because he plays with his food at SC. Did a lot of that. But going back to this, you just mentioned that all these national awards, they don't know where the Mountain Time Zone is. Is that what you kind of alluded to?
A little bit. People, it's Eastern, Central, Pacific.
Then what the hell's going on with the Heisman Trophy where the discussion is between two Mountain Time Zone individuals and there's nobody else that's even in the conversation?
You know why? Because it's not a great quarterback year for the draft.
Sure.
There's a couple of great players.
It is. I think, let me ask you this. If Travis Hunter is not Travis Hunter and one of one and doing things that nobody has ever even thought about doing on a football field, is Shedeur Sanders the representative for CU that is going to be competing against Ashton Jeanty for the Heisman Trophy?
Well, it's funny because
I've
been told that CU is equally promoting Shedeur as they're promoting Travis. And for folks that don't know, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Winning a Heisman Trophy is like winning an Academy Award. The movie studios take out ads, try to, sweet talk the voters. Well, the same is true for the Heisman Trophy, and it's not just CU. You literally have to do it, or at least you feel like you have to do it. I don't think it's a coincidence that Pat Surtain and Cortland Sutton and DeAndre Jordan were all sporting Heisman with the 12, Travis Hunter t-shirts the past weekend, right?
It's absolutely brilliant by CU. It's brilliant by Coach
those? Yeah. How do you think they got those shirts?
I've already heard it. It's already been verified. I think the first one was PS2, and he was interviewed post game, right? I don't know. Were you there did you ask the question in the locker room? I know you were too busy setting up Altitude After Dark for all of us to jump on, which by the way was a hoot. That was a blast having everybody on there. It was set by CU, and it's brilliant. And the thing that's crazy is Travis Hunter is going to do something that has never been done in the history of the Heisman Trophy. He's gonna win the award. And can you believe it? He's not even in the conference championship game. I thought that's illegal.
You want to address that?
Trophy.
All right. How deep do your Boise State ties run, my friend? Where do you want to go with that comment?
Well, I saw that from CU, or not from CU, from Boise State. I saw.
You should say what the story is. Tell.
Yeah. So Spencer Danielson, first-year head coach. He was the interim head coach a year ago. I know him. I know him well. He was asked about Ashton Jeanty probably for the 197,000th time since he's gone through this journey of media and being a head coach, and he was responding to Deion Sanders' comments that trophy's been wrapped up for weeks. It's not even close. And he's talking about Travis Hunter winning it. That's what Coach Prime said. And Spencer Danielson, ahead of a conference championship week, might I add, a very game opponent in UNLV that is playing tomorrow night on that blue field. I don't think that game's anywhere near a lock in terms of winning that football game, decides to send a massive shot across the bow and say that Spencer Danielson does not believe that you should be a Heisman Trophy candidate, or the quote was the best players in the country. How can that you say that when you're not even in your own conference championship? Well, guess who did that just a year ago? The Heisman Trophy winner, Jaden Daniels.
Weird comment from the boys. Listen, I get he's trying to stick up for his dude.
Yeah, there's better ways to stick up for your dude, though.
I agree. And who are you trying to win over anyway? Who's falling for that one? Listen, I've looked at the numbers of Jeanty. They're unbelievable. And you know what? In any other year, especially in a down quarterback year, although you really could make the case that Shedeur does deserve the Heisman, and I know it's more of a quarterback award than anything, but look at the turnaround, though, bro. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And listen, I know Jeanty had big numbers over Oregon. I do, in their only loss. I know that. And I know the Big 12 ain't that strong either, but you're going to lose some points in the Mountain West depending on like who you're playing against. I actually had this debate with Tyler Columbus today, and I'd be curious what your thoughts are about Genty.
I listened to it. Yeah, I listened to your guys' program on the way home from mine.
I hesitate in the NFL, man, drafting a running back in the first round. I really do. And yeah, okay, Saquon Barkley. All right, Derrick Henry. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay.
There's two. Because like even Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson went fifth, seventh overall?
Yeah, it's all right.
I mean, Atlanta?
Listen, I'll just tell you what
how's it gone?
The hash marks are closer. The players are better. It's different. It's just
the only thing I'd say is that I do believe Ashton Genty. I've studied this guy, man. You know this. I do a ton of media in Boise. Yeah. I've watched this guy before he was even a household name in Boise. I was watching this dude, and I'm like, and he was rotating with George Holani, who plays for the Seahawks last season. They opened the season last year at Washington against Michael Penix Jr., and they're handing the ball off to George Holani. He's, nice ham and egg running back, good player, now playing special teams for the Seahawks. And I'm like, I see this other guy, number 2, and I'm like, why don't they give the ball to him 30 times a game? It's like not even close. And I do believe that once you get into the 20s, and 30, I think that you do start having the conversation of best player available that fits our biggest need. And right now, man, the Broncos, I heard you say something, DMac, that I inherently disagreed with because of the Broncos situation. You said that you can find running backs grow on trees. You can just find one. The Broncos don't have one, brother. And that's the biggest void right now I see from this Broncos team. And it catches up to you when it catches up to you. And I love Jaleel McLaughlin. He's the best of the 3 to me and ain't close. I've said that since training camp. I like Audric Estime. He's big. He's got big biceps. But, man, he just doesn't make anybody miss. Yeah. And so you watch Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, those dudes either run through somebody and keep their feet churning, or they make somebody miss. That's not exactly who either one of your bigger backs in Javonte Williams and Audric Estime is right now. So I think the Broncos do need to hit on a running back. I do agree with you, though, that you can find a very quality one in the 2nd or 3rd round, but you get into the 5th, 6th round territory, man, I don't know. You're looking at another Audric Estime, who I don't know if we have all the information yet on.
I think that's all very, very fair. And the question that I brought up earlier on the radio show was, okay, say you move on from Bowles, okay, just for the sake of argument, and you're drafting at 23, and you're looking at the 4th left tackle off the board or Genty. Who are you taking?
Well, it just depends on the tackle class. And it also, the 4th offensive tackle off the board in most years is a developmental tackle, meaning that you're going to take some lumps. The guys that go in the top 10, top 15 are typically ready-made tackles in terms of the type of system.
Can I give you something kind of funny?
Yeah,
just real quick. Bowles was the first left tackle taken off the board his draft year at 20. That's how weak the left tackle class was.
And he was
in
developmental.
His year.
Can we agree that he was incredibly developmental?
I'm rolling my eyes at that because he was like 30 years old at the time. And, if he's still developmental, like, yikes, what are we doing here? He was an older guy. He wasn't 30, but he's older.
He's a return missionary. I think he was 20, probably just like Devon Vele, right? I mean,
I don't think he was quite like Vele.
Yeah, Vele had the 26. COVID and all the stuff. Yeah, that was all the COVID and an injury and a mission, all the things.
But like Bo Nix is older. He's 24. I mean,
right.
But Bowles is kind of like that. Anyways, so don't avoid the question there. What would you do? Where are you going?
If you're drafting, I think the Broncos are going to draft at 23. And if you have Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, available, or Ashton Genty available, I think it all comes down to how does Sean Payton want to build this thing going forward. That's how it really has to be decided. If he wants to have a bell cow running back vis-a-vis Alvin Kamara, Ingram, if he wants that, then I think you draft Ashton Genty. If he wants to do this 2-back committee, then I think you get Colston Loveland at tight end, because right now it looks like you got a wide receiver 1, man. And there are going to be 3 names that are available. Did you see the mock draft from the Ringer podcast?
No, give it to me.
Oh, it was beautiful, man. They had
Give
the
it to me.
Denver Broncos selecting, I think it was at 22, but they had the Denver Broncos selecting Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Egbuka. It's a good pick too. It's a good pick. And why I like that pick, and so all like any three of those to me is like Broncos just got way better. In my opinion, I think to get way better.
But you understand though, Coach, hold on a second. You understand if you do that, and I'm all for it, you better be signing up Garrett Bowles.
Yeah, he's going to take a team. I still believe he's going to take a team-friendly deal.
Fine by me. Hey, fine by me. It's fine by me. I want them to keep Garrett Bowles. Why? First of all, I think he's good enough, and I think there's moments he's been great this year. So I'm good with it. Also, Bo Nix has a knack of escaping. So bad offensive line play sometimes is mitigated that you have a quarterback that has enough sense to scramble around and avoid sacks. That's good. Also, Bo Nix doesn't hold on to the ball forever. That's what draws holding penalties.
And the system, when executed properly under Sean Payton, also in addition to it does. You don't need. This is not the Air Coryell offense of the 70s and 80s where it's 7-step drops, 3 hitches, and then throw the ball on these deep concepts all the time. That's not this offense.
Yeah, and the funny part to me, some of the criticisms of Bo Nix is like he hasn't healed the blind enough. Like there haven't been enough miracles. It's like there's where are the comebacks?
Did you see the Nick Wright graphic in his argument?
No, what?
Who does Nick Wright work for? Is he an ESPN or Fox?
Fox Sports.
Yeah, Fox Sports. Yeah. Do you know Nick?
Not personally, no. I've had him on. We've talked, but I don't know him personally.
Strange vibe guy to me. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So he gets on, and of course, this is the week where I have my Bo Nix epiphany, my Bo epiphany, if you will, because I saw some things that I hadn't seen before, which is he willing to touch the hot stove? Is he confident enough to be that guy in a shootout? Yes and yes. And he did that. And that was like really the last thing for me in my checklist that I've evaluated quarterbacks for the last 20 years. Because he's done everything else well. He takes care of the ball. He's got great response mechanism when things go bad. I could go on and on. He's done a great job. And so I had my epiphany. Then the next morning I wake up and I'm scroll on the X machine and I see Nick Wright. There's a graphic that says Bo Nix, if you take out the 93-yard touchdown, here are his numbers last night. What?
Why would you do that?
The ball. So just take it away? What do we? It happened.
And that's a weird. I've heard people make statements like that. It's so bizarre.
Stupid.
Well, it's so stupid because so what? It was an incomplete pass and they missed, or did he just get a first down and he continued the drive down the field? I mean, we're playing some weird games here. So
it doesn't make any sense.
So if that was an incompletion, even though it was a dime. And Bo Nix talked very specifically about an inverted Tampa 2 defense with the backer. He was very specific with what he saw. That wasn't lucky, coach. They saw that. He recognized it. He made a skilled pass. Why would you rule that out? It's like saying, hey, Mrs. Lincoln, besides all that, how was the play? What are we talking about?
And then the same day, DMac, have you been tracking the Ringer with their NFL quarterback power rankings?
I have not, no.
Oh, DMac, you're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Well, I'm sure Bo Nix is 39th.
Okay, so he was holding steady behind Daniel Jones for up until about 2 weeks ago. All right. So now, all right, let's just go through some of I don't know if we can see this. All right.
That's tough. It's tough. Just talk to me. I got the idea.
Sam Darnold,
20. Okay.
Let's keep going.
Okay.
So Bo Nix was a big mover. So he's behind Anthony Richardson, who right now has the worst completion percentage over expected, maybe in the history of advanced analytics. Let's keep going. Justin Fields, who's not starting right now. That's your guy. So yeah, you're right. We should have drafted Justin Fields because he's better than what you're playing with right now. Oh, look. We've got 29 he moved up from 31.
Wow.
Bo Nix, number 29. And guess what? The tagline, the lead, don't kill the lead. His Drew Brees impression is lacking one key detail: system QB. Ringers. Do you realize what Bo Nix is today in passing yards in the National Football League?
He's got to be top 5.
He's 11, but still.
He's got to be the top
11.
12.
He's 11.
He's 11.
He's 11.
Okay.
I mean, he's not 29. And is he turning the football over? No, not at a.
But my guess, if you went back with the Ringer, specifically whoever wrote that, my guess, if we were to do this meaningless research, but my guess would be whoever that person was, and it probably is one person.
Stephen Ruiz.
I bet you dollars to donuts, Stephen Ruiz was not high on Bo Nix in the draft.
No, he crushed him, and he's continued to crush him. And actually, one of my close friends that I met at the Combine works on the Ringer podcast for fantasy football and the draft. He's awesome. His name's Danny Heifetz. I had a great text exchange with him, and I said this. I said, I sent him the picture, and I said, I respect the 70-year-old man level of stubbornness from your counterparts.
What was the response?
That's what I sent him.
What was the response?
Oh, it was great. It was great. And this guy's one of the funniest. He goes, Ruiz is saying Ruiz is that guy saying about the mountain doesn't bend to the howls of the wind.
Listen, man, some people will go an extraordinary distance to prove that I wasn't wrong. But even our own Andy Lindahl, who we dearly love so much, has bent much more towards the, okay, I guess it's good we have Bo Nix aside from Brock Bowers. Even Andy is on that side of things. To be crapping on Bo Nix this point is really petty and
it's
dumb. It's dumb, right? It's
a team that was expected to win 5.5 games,
right,
and is now 8-5 with 4 to play. It is what it is, man. Like, you don't get that with bad quarterback play. And there was a stretch there where you said, they beat, and even against the Browns, they've beaten a bunch of teams that have a losing record. Still National Football League games with the same salary cap, same superstars. Can I give you something
on that argument? I've heard that a ton. There are so many bad teams. Coach, all the teams in the NFL with winning records are beating teams with losing records. Do you understand that's going on? That's happening.
There's essentially like 10, 11, 12 competitive NFL teams right now.
Right. Like that's I heard how they haven't beat playoff teams. Nobody's beating playoff teams. Not really. I mean, who's beating playoff teams on a regular basis? It's not happening. The Bills, I guess they beat the Chiefs. All right. Well, there you go. That happens.
Well, the wild thing is that the Denver Broncos in Bucky Brooks' latest Fox Sports it's Fox NFL Power Rankings.
Yeah.
Bucky Brooks ranks the Denver Broncos as the number 9 team in the National Football League in the Power Rankings. Guess who's number 10? The Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
How about that?
Well, it is a trip, and I cannot believe the Broncos and the Ravens have the same record right now. Which is true.
Well, and if you look at power rankings, a lot of it has to do, you win games because of defense, and their defense is absolutely abysmal this year. Statistically, they have not played good football. Now, the thing I found that was interesting, in the top 10 were 4 teams that the Broncos have already played. The Ravens, the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. Chargers were actually 7th, all right? The Broncos are 0-4 against those 4 teams at this stage, but I think you've had some developmental growth. I prayed to the good Lord above, the same guy that Jameis Winston's asking to deliver him from pick sixes, that Riley Moss is available to play and Brandon Jones is available to play against the Colts.
I hope so.
But after you play the Colts, I believe you're going to have 5 games guaranteed in front of you. That's what I believe. And I've said that for 7 weeks. The Broncos are a playoff team because they have an elite defense and a quarterback making all the right choices and a coach that's calling a hell of a year. Sean Payton offensively is game planning brilliantly. Okay, he is. Has he made every perfect decision? No. I mean, we're talking heads. We analyze and scrutinize everything, including how the Chiefs game ended and the block kick and special teams, all that stuff. Done phenomenal. In the next 5 games, including the wild card round of the playoffs, the Broncos are going to play 3 of the top 10 teams in the next 5 games. How fun is that? And I think you got a chance to change the trajectory of your franchise in these next 5 weeks.
All right, we'll come back with our post-bye week predictions in a second. In times of financial uncertainty, how can you stay on track? Call someone who's invested in your success. Beau Smith, your Colorado Edward Jones financial advisor, can help you. He'll work to build a complete picture of your financial life, including your unique goals and passions, so he can help you achieve what's most important to you. Call Beau at 303-758-8500 to schedule an appointment today, or visit edwardjones.com/Beau-Smith. That's BEAU-Smith. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's great advice, DMac. It's great advice.
Okay.
When in doubt, just call Beau. That's all you got to do.
Last minute of the show, predictions for post-bye for the Broncos for the rest of the year.
Win over the Colts.
Will that cinch a playoff spot?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe the Dolphins are a fractured and broken football team that knows that they're soft.
Bengals too far behind?
Yes. And I think that Joe Burrow's more concerned about his Batmobile arriving than he is making a postseason.
And you already have him beating the Colts. Okay.
Yeah.
All
and
right. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think I still stand by this, and it's probably not going to be as relevant, but it might be because of seeding. And I still think that this season is a major win if you posture yourself as the next team up in the AFC West after the Chiefs. And I believe that game in Los Angeles against the Chargers is going to be massive. And I think the two teams are actually comprised and built very similarly. The biggest difference, and I want to see this in the remaining 4 weeks of the regular season, I want to see some form of consistent identity to a running back or two. And I want to see some leaning into the ground game, because if not, the Chargers, if J.K. Dobbins is healthy, they're gonna run the ball and play bully ball, and they're gonna beat you. I think you gotta establish some form of a physical presence against the Colts, carry that into the Chargers game, and then know you have that at your disposal when you get to the postseason, because it does matter.
Let me give you my final hot take before we say goodnight. It's going to be a historic run, and it's going to be one of the most memorable end of seasons ever. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to beat the Colts, but it's not going to be cinched for the playoffs. You're going to need to beat the Chiefs, because you're going to lose to the Chargers and you're going to lose to the Bengals, and that's going to suck. But you're going to beat the Chiefs at home. They're going to be the number 2 seed, and guess what? You're going to play the Chiefs the next week in the playoffs, and you're going to beat them again. You're going to beat the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. How's that for a hot take? That could reasonably happen.
Man.
How about that one for you?
Only somebody who's been doing radio for 25 to 35 years could think of such a beautiful scenario for Broncos.
It could happen.
It absolutely could. I think the Bengals will be Cancun on 3 by the time they come into and the Broncos play against them. It's in Cincinnati, isn't it?
It's in Cincinnati. I just think the Chargers and the Ravens will finish ahead of the Broncos. I have a hard well, first of all, you don't have the tiebreaker against the Ravens. And I think the Chargers will probably beat the Broncos at home on a short week. So I just think the Broncos are going to have that 7 seed. I think that's where they're going to end up. They'll play the 2, and I think the Chiefs are soft.
Yeah, the short week piece is important. It is.
It's not great. It's whatever. I don't even care, though. The opportunity to beat the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks is pretty freaking awesome. And if that doesn't happen, if somehow they can move up, which would be amazing, the reward would be to play the Steelers. The one team you do not want to play in the first round of the playoffs is the Buffalo Bills this year. That is, you do not want that.
They're sizzling.
They're unbelievable. And listen, man, karma has a Bills-Lions Super Bowl this year, which may be the most popular Super Bowl of all time, based on those teams' histories and what the storylines of that game would be. It would be pretty amazing.
The only thing that probably could ruin the karma coming around full circle is a major power outage at the Super Bowl or another worldwide pandemic, and neither team can actually win the Super Bowl. But yeah, you feel like there's a collision course for that happening.
Can you imagine? Let's not.
I could actually with those two.
All right, my brother. We will see you tomorrow morning on the Morning Sprint, and we'll be back Sunday night for Altitude After Dark.